What's up, Mongol mains? It's FitzBro, and I know you've been looking for some strategies to deal with some of those feudal age early 2TC boomers, and this Mongol strategy is going to be a great one for you. If you're coming back to the game, maybe just getting back into AE4, Mongols have changed quite a bit. There's a lot of the mechanics that have been moved around, so I'll be going over some of the basics as well as breaking down the build order here that Kiljardi is using to put the pressure on Core in the road to Red Bull Wolo. Now, in this matchup, Core is playing as the Abbasid Dynasty, which I usually play, and I have actually faced against the strategy, and I can tell you it is super annoying and can be a great way to contain Abbasid players or anyone else who's looking for those early expansions. If you like the strategy guide, make sure you leave me a comment, hit that sub button, and I also have a Delhi guide and Abbasid Dynasty guide I will leave down in the description, or you can join me in the Discord where I will have all of these posted in my resources channel. Okay, let's get into this build order. So, both these guys are Conqueror 3. That's the highest rank in the game. And Mongols, one thing you know that's changed about them for their opening is they now have a Gur. This has been one of the more recent changes. They open with a Gur, which is their packable, movable building, which is one of their unique mechanics, that collects resources, okay? So no lumber camps for them, no mining camps, no mill. They've got one building. It's the Gur. And so at the very beginning of the game, you have to decide where am I going to put my town center, where am I going to put my Gur. Your options almost always are going to be try to put your town center on the nearest wood line. So the wood line, ideally if there's some gold or stone near it, that's great too, but wood is your first priority. You're going to take your Gur and go out and start scouting with it, just like a little loop around your town center, and then you're going to get your Khan active on the map for your sheep. So let's watch his little opening here, and I'm going to actually do it in half speed so you can really see what's going on. He's going to grab all of his villagers heading towards the wood that his town center is going to. Be careful not to block the placement, right? Otherwise, the town center won't deploy. And he grabs one of his villagers and goes off to build stone, or build his Uvu. This Uvu is going to generate the stone that he's going to use for that ×2 production later on. Okay, so all villagers go towards the wood that is near the town center. One villager is pulled off to build that Uvu. And then his new villagers will be rallied towards those sheep that he's got there. So you've got 3 sheep that are always going to be near your starting town center. Okay, let's bump this into a regular speed. Okay, so this is kind of the setup here. He's going out, grabbing his sheep. Now, I think one thing interesting about this build is he does not go for a second scout. A lot of times you see people go for that. He does not in this case. He's trying to just optimize what he needs to get some horsemen that he's going to be using to harass his opponent early on here. So we got 5 on wood. That Uvu builder has come back to the sheep, so now he's got 2 on food, and all the new villagers here are going to be going to sheep. And what you're going to see him do is get up exactly 150 wood that he's going to need for a stable, and then he's going to pull all but 1 villager off of wood and go to sheep. Okay, so it'll be 5 on wood, get a stable, pull all but 1 off to go to sheep, and then everybody else is going to be going to sheep, and then you'll see his transition to gold after he builds a stable. Now, if you do go for a second scout opening, a lot of times people will use this Gur and just keep scouting around, and while it can't pick up sheep in this mode, if you see a sheep and you deploy it, the sheep will then follow it. So you can actually find a few sheep with this. Okay, so in this case, he goes on a loop and places it by the gold. Perhaps you've got a gold right next to your town center and you don't even need to place it. You can just keep scouting. Okay, so here we go. He's got 150 for that wood, and you see he pulls off all but 1. And then one of those villagers is going to build the stable. Okay, still rallying villagers to food right now, building up that stable. And his goal is going to be for against the Abbasid. You know they're going to be going for gold because they need gold for their fresh foodstuffs and for their wheelbarrow. And you also know that if you can get over there and harass that, you can perhaps deny one of those techs. Not only that, they're probably going for stone for a second town center, so you can start denying, harassing, slowing that down, force them to invest in some other things. That's the name of this game. You want to bluff just enough pressure that they make some investments to hold it off. Okay, so watch this. He has finished his stable. This villager that was on the stable is going to go to gold. Now he's starting to think about saving up for that age up. And he is going to buy one of those ×2 early horsemen, which costs 100 food, 20 wood, 120 stone, which he has. Like just barely enough, right? And going to rally that across the map. And now that he has 9 villagers on food, you're going to see he pulls his second villager. He'll put 2 on gold, and that's all he needs for now. And he even pulls off of wood here, okay? And I think this was actually to overgather. Essentially, you want just enough wood to get to that first early horseman, and then you can go for 10 on food, okay? So he's going to have 10 on food, 2 on gold is kind of what we're going to see here. And out come those early horsemen across the map. And what he's going to be looking for is that gold line. He wants to try to... Your goal isn't to try to stop them from aging to age 2. They're going to get that. But what you want to do is try to deny them from gathering that gold. That's going to prevent them from getting their fresh foodstuffs when they hit the next stage, from getting wheelbarrow in transition. If you're up against Delhi, it could stop them from producing scholars. If you're up against French, it could stop them from having all that night production right out of the gate. So just those 2 horsemen, no more, right? You're not doing any tower rush, you're not doing spearmen. That is it. Just 2 horsemen. New villagers still going to the food there. And he is going to be saving up his resources. It's going to cost 400 food, 200 gold to age up with his deer stone. So I'm going to show you over here. He's kind of scouted out where that gold is. And watch this. He's just going to go in there, pressure. He's not going to overcommit. He's not going to run up to the wood line. He's just pushed him off of gold. And while, yes, Core has what he needs to age up, he does not have the gold right now to get fresh foodstuffs. And he does not have the gold to get his wheelbarrow. So that's kind of the goal with this. This is denying those so important, crucial techs for a booming civ. Okay, now notice Kildari's got 12 on food and 3 on gold. He's actually, after he had 12 on food, been 1 more on gold. But I think it's mostly just kind of feeling out the smacker from here. But as far as the Dark Age goes, just a small recap there. It was all starting villagers to wood. 1 went to the Uvu. The Uvu villager came back to sheep. All new villagers to sheep. And once he had enough for a stable, he dropped that down, left 1 villager on wood, went 10 villagers on food, 2 on gold. I think got up to 12 on food, and he did 3 on gold. And now he's aging up. He pulled off 3 villagers off of food to build the deer stones. And he also pulled off several villagers to go to wood now. He has 4 on the wood line right now with all new villagers going to wood. He's just going to stay here with 7 on food. And you do see him now training up a second early horseman. He has the resources now that he is aging up. And look at this. He is still denying this gold. Core does not have the gold he needs to get fresh foodstuffs or wheelbarrows still. So this investment has been well worth it. He's denied that. And not only that, you can assume Abbasid probably wants to go for stone next, right? Because one of their big things is going for that second town center expansion early on. And he's actually forced his opponent to build a racks in order to try to deal with this. But at the same time, that slows down his second town center. Okay, so we've got... he's doing basically a wooden food split, and as he hits the next age, you're going to see him slap down an archery range. You can assume you've opened with some early horsemen. Your opponent is likely going to be training some spearmen, so be ready for that with a few archers. But his goal isn't to stay in age 2. With the Mongols, you really want to get to age 3, where they have that step red out that you can get double the gold production, where they can really kind of springboard their economy. And with map control, you can grab the relics. So look at this. There's spearmen there, but while he can't really look at that, he picks up a villager. He's able to. I don't know if he gets the second villager, but at the very least, it's low HP. He denies it. Yes, he's lost 2 horsemen, but he slowed all of this down. Okay. Now Core has been able to gather the gold he needs for fresh foodstuffs. He still does not have what he needs for a wheelbarrow, and he has to kind of shuffle his resources around. Like, this is not where you want to be as an Abbasid getting ready to hitting the second age, right? Okay, so now that Kiljardi is in the second age, let's look at his macro. He's got 10 on food and 9 on wood. Basically just about, right, half on your food, half on wood. And his goal is to just produce a few archers and just have these initial horsemen just to harass, get the opponent, your goal is to try to show just enough pressure that your opponent reacts, and then gives you the room to suddenly switch some villagers over to food and gold and get up to the next stage. And he is doing that ×2 production on those archers, which is rather cheap, right? 30 food, 50 wood, and that 80 free stone you're going to get. So he's got 2 archers. He's now going to have 4 archers, and he can do it 1 more time, right? Because that 80 stone. And he just does basically 3 batches of 2. Okay, 6 archers is all he needs. He's still running around with 2 of those initial horsemen that he had made. I think he does train. Yeah, it's not a single one. Yeah, he does there. And he took those one of those builders from the archer range and put it on gold. Oh, actually, he still has 3 on gold. Now, one thing I like he does is he goes for the deer next. Some might be tempted to be like, oh, this Uv is close by. Let's just get the sheep production going, right? A lot of players will put down these pastures and start producing this free sheep. But if you know you've got a little bit of map control and can go for it, get the deer. So he's done that. He's gone out here. He's gone for the deer right in front of his base. And I really like this move. Building a tower there just for some line of sight and defense on this. But instead of investing that wood in like you would have to have more villagers on wood, investing in pastures. Some people go for pastures super early on. Yes, it's safe, but this gives him that extra wood he needs for this production, and so he can focus all of his villagers on food and gold. You see, he's now transitioned a lot of his villagers to food. That's because he's going to be heading up to the castle age. And while on the other side, let's look what's happened. He's kind of scared his opponent. He still doesn't have his second town center. He doesn't have his wheelbarrow. He's actually just shy of the gold he would need for. Well, he would need 100 gold for that. And he's forced him to build this giant wall, which is a big investment. Once he saw this wall with the scout, he basically knew, like, okay, I can go to the next stage. Like, he knows Kor has invested a lot in this. He's got a stable. He's got a barracks. Like, sure, he could build up an army, but by the time he gets over here, you know, he could react to it if he needed to. And Kildari's just staying active on the map. He can see kind of what's going on. He can peek the stone and see, okay, if there's a second town center coming down. And he's got his horsemen, so he's also killing the scout, which is going to prevent Kor from getting the additional intel on what he is doing. And what is he doing right now? You see 20 on food, 7 on gold. He is trying to age up to the castle age. And we can kind of see a little bit of his line of sight there with that tower. He can see if there's a raid coming out front. Gonna pull those 6 archers back. He didn't overinvest. He only made 6 archers, right? And I think a common thing to do is to keep rallying villagers to wood once you've aged up to age 2, right? You just start getting wood, and next thing you got all this wood in the bank, right? Instead, he just got the wood he needed for that stable archery range, 2 batches of archers, and then he's gone to food and gold. His goal is to get to the next age, get that step red out. So I'm gonna hit this with a little speed here so you can see the castle age. Kor is getting his second town center, but look, he's just now getting his second town center while Kajardi has just now clicked age up to the next age. And the thing about this is, sure, Kor's economy is going to start to get pretty good now that he has 2 town centers online, and yes, he could just start training some military units, but he's going to be in age 3. He can have lancers, he can have man-at-arms, and more importantly, he can start grabbing those relics. And if you can secure all those relics and map control, that's going to give you a lot of wiggle room on top of the extra economy the step right out is going to give you. Now, if you're not familiar with this landmark makes it so when you drop off your gold, it gives plus 50%. So this is like an additional gold you're going to get for every trip you do. So it is a really, really good landmark. And now in transition, he's building a barracks so that he can start getting some man-at-arms production as he gets in the 3rd age. And while he's aging up to age 3, he's also been building towers in the stealth forest. Now, we are here on Dry Arabia, but look at this. He's got 2 stealth forests here. He can have some line of sight. Not only line of sight, it gives him the YAM network, right? Which is going to give all the units near it additional movement speed, so you can see all those units glowing. That's what's going on there. So it helps him with defending, right? Because there could be some raids coming in possibly right now. And the first thing he does, he slaps down a prayer tent because he wants to grab those relics. Every relic you grab is going to be 100 gold income per minute passively. And there's 5 up for grabs. And you can see here, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. They are all very within reach for him. So that's what he's going for there. And he's starting to train up this man-at-arms. Now, Avicid can kind of deal with the man-at-arms to an extent with their camels, their camel archers. You can see these guys. They've got 12 attacks, so they can actually pierce through the armor of man-at-arms. But you need a lot of them. And, you know, if they're just sitting back in their base and he's already done some economic damage, which he has, he didn't let him boom up to 3 TC. It's not going to be a huge threat. He's just going to stay back, take advantage of the fact he's got the step red out, take advantage of the fact that he can grab these relics, and he's actually doing ×2 shaman. I've seen Mongol players do this on a fast castle. It's expensive, 150 stone, but get 2 shaman out, go grab 2 relics right away, because if you get those, that's going to be gold for the rest of the game. Okay, he's added additional barracks on right now, and we're gonna hit this with a little bit of speed because it's a lot of just he's got his opponent contained. He's using like 1 villager to go around and get some line of sight, and he's just being active on the map with his horsemen, seeing what's going on. Now look at this. Kor, he's still in H2, and he sees, okay, my opponent is in the 3rd age. It's going to be very hard for me to just blind go up to the next age because he could get hit with knights or lancer or man-at-arm raids. So he's had to invest in, look at all the military buildings. He's still on 2 town center, but that's not a huge concern. Look at this income per minute. We've got Kiljardi still bringing in tons of gold, and it's only going to get higher as he grabs those relics, followed by the sacred sites. Okay, so he's being active on the map. He's got his army. He's got some man-at-arms now, bringing out some villagers. Actually, he's going for the... I love this move. We mentioned early on how he used the deer and didn't go for sheep back here. He has gone for the deer on his opponent's side of the map because he knows he has some map control, and he even builds these outposts there for it too, just to protect his villagers, right? Because 5 villagers fit in an outpost. You need 2 outposts to keep them all. So he's starting to siege down this wall, but his goal isn't to like do a fatal death blow. He isn't going to start running in here with man-arms or lancers yet, because he knows camels, they will do a decent amount of damage. His goal right now is to just contain. When a Mongol, you kind of want to play the late game, right? Or play that like mid-game containment, wait for your enemies start to run out of food, make them transition to farm. So he knows he's got this food captured. He knows he can grab all 5 relics. He can grab the 3 sacred sites. He said those are going to be 100 gold per minute. This is just going to be a lot of resources coming in for him. Okay, so he's continuing to stream across some man-at-arms and some lancers, knowing his opponent still can't make crossbows. Sure, he can make some camels, but the camels are only going to get you so far as Kiljardy is massing up his army. And we're going to hit you with a little speed here. Okay, so continuing to bring in those relics with the shaman, containing the army. Look at this. He's got full line of sight of kind of this mid portion of the map with his army. Like, yes, they could sneak around the side there, but if they do, he's going to go in and harass the villager line. And right now, he's just gathering all the relics, and then he will go for those sacred sites. Give him even more speed there. I just really like how patient Kiljardy's being here. He isn't over-investing or going for siege right away, because Abbasid, they can amass quite an army. I mean, look at this. He's staying age 2. Like, he's amassed a good force of units. If he had pushed in here early on without setting up his economy behind this, he could possibly lose a fight. Now he's got a good mass of man-arms, and he's feeling an okay position that he wants to run in and take this fight. Now, that's a lot of phalanx spearmen, and you see he's not just going to push in there. He's trying to pick them off with the archers first, which I think is a really smart move. Okay, and he moves in. He's pushing off the berries, able to grab a few villagers. And what a good timing. This is as Kor was hitting up to Castle Age. So he ideally doesn't want to take a fight until his units are upgraded. But now this is his awkward position, and he's kind of forced this as he has a mass. And now he is bringing in his 5th relic. Now, talk about one of the changes. You can only put 3 relics in your prayer tent. So he actually did have to construct a 2nd prayer tent. So just be aware of that. You're going to need 2 prayer tents if you get more than 3 relics. Okay, and now he is starting to pressure. He's burnt that, got some resources, killed some villagers. And what's he going to do? He's not going to push into this spearman death trap, right? He's just hit the next stage and could be producing crossbows, man-arms, lancers. He's going to pull back. He just secured 5 relics. He's getting 3 of the sacred sites. So his gold income is just going to be growing and growing. Where he risk is, as Mongols, if you lose your army, that army, the horsemen can start running through and raiding the heck out of his eco. So he's just waited. And let's also take a look at what techs he has researched here. So he got the advanced siege engineering, which is only available if your blacksmith is built on an uvu. And the advanced siege engineering allows your infantry to build out here in the field like this. Build these siege units. So now he gets to sit back and slowly siege this down. He's got himself a mangonel to deal with any archers. He can start making some springolds. And from here, it's just going to be so hard. Looking at that income per minute, check that out. Look at all that gold that Kiljardy is getting right now. Like, that's what's going to be so valuable here into this late game. And so he just makes his siege, sets up with a few towers, and can just slowly push this. And that is exactly what's going on here. Now, Abbasid had been on 3 TC, had a great opening with all the stuff. Like, this would be a harder situation. If Abbasid was set up, this would be quite a scary fight to take. But the fact of the matter is, Kiljardy did so much damage and psychological pressure there in the Dark Age and Feudal Age that he really capped the potential of the Abbasid economy, because he had to make a bit of investment in an army, and an investment in his army that really, you know, Kiljardy's goal wasn't to do an all in Age 2. He was just applying pressure while he got himself set up for this mid-late game with tons of gold and Kor taps out. So that is a Mongol strategy that I think is very excellent for containing particularly Abbasid opponents. I know I've faced against it. I think it's also good at denying Delhi from getting their scholars early on, and any other civilization or specific matchups or players where you think they're going to be going for a second town center or a boomy type of strategy. I hope you enjoyed this build order. If you did, please hit that subscribe button. Leave me a comment below. Let me know about your success stories, and I'll link this down in my resources channel in the Discord in case you want to try to find it later. Hope you check out the Abbasid and Delhi guide as well, and good luck out there on the ladder.